Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about Kara. Kara has exhausted all of her pregnancy disability leave. That is a state regulation. There are several states in the United States that have pregnancy disability regulations that care for employees when they're pregnant. Typically, they run concurrent with FMLA, and they often provide additional leave for baby bonding. And so, this is a California scenario. Kara has 17 and a third weeks of pregnancy disability leave be available for her. The pregnancy disability leave runs concurrent to FMLA in the state of California. Because in the state of California, we have California Family Rights Act leave that is baby bonding that doesn't run concurrent with FMLA. And it's also available for other family member leave like grandparents and grandchildren and siblings. But pregnancy disability leave in the state of California is 17 and a third weeks long, and she was provided that length of leave. They ran FMLA concurrent to the pregnancy disability leave for the same intermittent and unpredictable absences that she was requesting. You can see by the Venn diagram, FMLA and PDL run concurrently, but California Family Rights Act, which is the baby bonding piece, does not. And of course, Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act will run concurrently, and so would regular ADA. So we transitioned Kara from FMLA, PDL, to American with Disabilities Act, because this was prior to the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act. Conducted a good faith interactive meeting with her and modified her work schedule to accommodate the doctor's instructions for a 3-day work week. Now, you understand that is also a Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act accommodation. But we're getting more medical information because we needed to understand the nature of her disability that required her to be off work with her pregnancy, as opposed to being accommodated at work. So Kara continued to miss work even more than the 2 days off a week that she was already provided and scheduled for. But she's not due for the birth of her baby for several more months. And if she leaves work prior to the birth of her baby, is she still eligible for protected leave? Is she violating the excessive absence policy? What do you do when a pregnant employee has a need for time off work prior to the birth of the baby, either a few days, a few hours, or completely off work? Well, these are all various versions of ADA and Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act. When we're at work and we're doing basic anticipatory accommodations like extra breaks and drinks, those are not ADA, but they're Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act, and those could last for up to 40 weeks. But once we're talking about leave and being off work and unpredictable leave and unpredictable attendance, now we're looking at something different, everybody. Now we're looking at whether this is even an ADA reasonable accommodation. FMLA has already been exhausted, and so has the state pregnancy disability leave. They ran concurrently. But let's just turn this scenario into a FMLA scenario where they took leave for their need for pregnancy and then they ran out of leave. Someone who is preeclamptic could easily have 4 to 5 months of flat bed rest before they have the baby. So if we're in a situation like that, this is a straight American with Disabilities Act issue because it's not predictable accommodations under Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act. But they're also pregnant. So it is a Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act issue also. So that means that we will be providing accommodation unless it's an undue hardship. But that doesn't mean that they can violate the accommodation provided. So she is violating their attendance policy by not showing up to work on the days that she's scheduled. So we would want to re-engage in the interactive process, determine, does she really need complete time off? And if she does, can we provide that? Or is that an undue hardship? Because if it's an undue hardship, then at that point, you'd probably be ending her employment. So we're thinking about this very carefully, and we're documenting things very carefully. We spend a lot of time teaching you how to analyze and document undue hardship assessments for denial of ADA in our on-site training and live training. But be sure that it is objectively confirmed if you cannot provide leave as an accommodation. And then, yes, she would not be protected under the ADA or the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act if it's an undue hardship to provide that leave, even though it is predictable, because once she has the baby, then we would anticipate upon recovery returning to work. But then that would potentially be additional time also that could be protected potentially under a state baby bonding regulation. So let's just recap again. Let's eliminate the state baby bonding or the state pregnancy disability leave regulation and just talk about FMLA and ADA. When FMLA has exhausted when an employee is pregnant, and the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act does not apply because it's more than normative accommodations, predictable break and extra time off your feet accommodations. Then we're getting more medical documentation to confirm the exact need of the leave, length of the leave. Then we're looking at an undue hardship analysis to determine whether the leave can be effectively provided without impacting the organization. Hope that helps. You can see that we always are rolling back to our company policies and looking at concurrent policies that might be applicable. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.